Hey everyone, welcome back to Earl Grey Books. I'm Ellie. Today we're doing part 1 of my October wrap-up. I've decided to split this into 2 parts because I read a lot of books in October and I think that it'll just be better to do it this way so that I can talk about them a little bit more in depth. Look at him being an acrobat in the background. So I'm filming this a few days before the end of the month, so I'm hoping I can fit in 2 more books before October ends, which would bring my total up to 18 books this month, which is, I think, the best I've had this year. I used to read this many per month, probably like last year it started to die down, so it's kind of nice to have been able to get through these. I am a quick reader, so are you coming down? That is part of it, and also I think I just had a lot more time this month, and a lot of these were kind of quick to get through. Percy, come on. Are you sitting down? Come on. Okay. So a couple of these, 2 of them I don't have. One of them, the first one, is Ziggy Stardust and Me by James Brandon. So I left my copy of this in the US. This is the last book I read while I was over there. This was 4 stars. I wrote a full-length review of it, which I'll link down below. But this is a historical LGBTQ plus book, which means that it tore out my heart. It also, as the title suggests, has a bit to do with David Bowie, which I loved that aspect of. Bowie is my favorite musical artist, so I loved seeing that, and it was really good. But yeah, it completely destroyed me. One of the most depressing books I read this year, and probably ever. Like it's just like, it's real emotional, and it hits you hard. But I would highly recommend it. Bit of a jump now. Sticking with the LGBTQ plus theme, we have Check Please, Volume 1, or Book 1, Hockey by Ngozi Ikazu. So this is also LGBTQ plus, as I mentioned, but it's like complete opposite end of the spectrum, where it's like cutesy and just like lots of feels, but like good happy feels, rather than depressing, I want to cry in a wall kind of feels. So this is just like a cute graphic novel about hockey, ice hockey, and baking, and just boys being precious. This reminded me a little bit of Heartstopper. It's got that kind of feel to it. And also the graphic novel Bloom, which I read earlier this year, which is also about baking and boys being precious. So I would highly recommend all 3 of those. They're all adorable and I love them so much. Okay, and of course, October was Victober. I only managed to read 2 books for Victober, but they're ones that I've kind of been meaning to read for years, so I'm happy that I got through them. So I read these like within 2 days of each other. So I have these 2, and they're part of the same collection. So we've got the selected works of Edgar Allan Poe and The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. I gave these both 3 stars. I feel like with Poe, I'm just more interested in his poetry, rather than his short stories, which was mostly what was in here. I just didn't find them very gripping, and I had expected that they would be, and I think that's kind of where they let me down. Scarlet Letter, I love Nathaniel Hawthorne's writing, but the story was not what I was expecting the story to be. I thought we were going to get the story of how Hester ended up getting the Scarlet Letter and then like a bit after it, but it like literally starts when she gets it, and I was kind of interested in that whole stuff like before this, but there we go. I've read them now. I did start some other ones for Victober that I'm hoping I might be able to finish off in November, in between my non-fiction November reads, but we shall see what happens there. I think it's time for a tea break. I've got this really awesome mug that I bought at Harvard because I wish I could afford Harvard. It was so beautiful and I loved it. Anyway, I just thought you needed to know that that was how cool my mug was. Next one is the other one that I don't have a copy of. I read this one on Scribed, and this was part of the Gilmoreathon. I only ended up reading 2 books that counted for the Gilmoreathon, which was Scarlet Letter and The Comedy of Errors by William Shakespeare. I actually really enjoyed this. It's been a little while since I've read a Shakespeare. I think this was my 9th play of his, and it definitely wasn't my favorite, but I did really enjoy it. I gave it 4 stars. I just thought it was fun and still incredibly witty and smart, and I liked that a lot. And I don't know why people don't talk about this one more often, because it really is quite funny. Next, we have another graphic novel / comic. This is how I got through so many books this month, and it's another LGBTQ plus one. This is Bingo Love by T. Franklin, Jensen Onge, and Joyce Sun, and a bunch of other authors. I was kind of disappointed by this one. I bought this one for myself for my birthday this month. I was expecting really good things. It was cute, the art was beautiful, but the pacing was terrible. Like really, this has got to be some of the worst pacing I've ever read in my life. It just sped through like everything moved so quickly. And it says that this is a volume 1, but it had an ending. Like it had a definite ending. So I don't know what's really happening here. This one, because this is the Jackpot edition, it did come with a lot of cute like extra stories, which is where all these other authors come from, and I actually enjoyed those a lot more than the actual story. And then the last 4 we have are all really good reads. So I read The Water Dancer by Ta-Nehisi Coates. Every single time I'm like, am I saying this right? I've looked it up. I have looked it up, and then I promptly forgot. So this was incredible. One of the best books I've read this year. It's just beautiful and like really emotional. The only thing that stopped it being a 5-star book from me was there was a part that I really felt like it could have ended and I would have been happy with the ending. I don't know that anyone else would have been happy with this ending, but yeah, there was a part where I was like, I would be happy for it to end here. And then it kept going, and I kind of didn't care about the last section after that point. Like, I obviously can't say anything because I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, there was just sort of the end part that was like, I get it, it was like a nice way of closure, but I kind of liked, yeah, the point that I wanted it to end, which wouldn't have had any closure, but I thought it was like a good spot. But yes, would highly recommend. This is worth the hype. That's all I can say. Next, after that one, which was long and intense, I thought it would be a good idea to read something a little bit more fun and light-hearted, so I went with Malamanda by Thomas Taylor. This is a middle grade book and it was just a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, it's kind of about like this hotel where this young boy lives, and he works kind of in like the lost and found section, and he meets this girl one day, and it's about like sea monsters and bookshops and this little seaside town. And yeah, it was a lot of fun and I would highly recommend it. It reminded me a lot of Withering by Sea by Judith Russell. I have to say I like Withering slightly more because it follows a female character and I just connect to that better. But this was still a lot of fun and I can't wait to read the rest of the series once it's released. Back into some intense emotional stuff. I read A Constant Hum by Alice Bishop. This is a short story collection about the Black Saturday bushfires. So those took place 10 years ago here in Victoria. I mentioned in, I think this was in a Week in Read video, it was an awful time. Lots of people lost their homes and all of their belongings, their pets, their livestock, family, friends, their lives. It was not a great time. But this was a really beautiful collection. Definitely made me emotional. And yeah, it was just really lovely. And also, I don't know, maybe this is I don't think this is a bold statement. Other people have been saying this. I reckon this is going to make the Stellar 2020, I can't speak today, the 2020 long list. I just think it's going to be on there. Maybe I'll be wrong. I'm just saying. And then finally for this video, this is another one of the books that I would say is probably gunning for top books of the year. In fact, I mean, it's November now. It's probably going to make it onto the list unless I read something like completely brilliant in November and December that knocks multiple books off my list. But that is Brown Girl Dreaming by Jacqueline Woodson. So this is a memoir of her childhood growing up. It's told in verse. So she lived between, oh no, I've forgotten which state. Ohio, South Carolina, and New York. It's just beautiful. Like, the way she can write is just mind-blowing. It's incredible. So would very highly recommend this one. I know that she just put out a new book, Red at the Bone, but I do have a couple. She has some other backlist titles, so I think maybe I'm gonna try and hunt some of those down in the next few months and work my way through. I really feel like she could become one of my favorite authors just based off this book, so I'm hoping that her other books stand up to this. If you've read any of her others, please let me know what you thought of them. I have been hearing good things about her new one, but I would kind of like to read some of her older ones before getting to that one, but we'll see. So that's part 1 of my wrap up. I will be posting part 2 on Wednesday. So I will see you all then. Thanks for watching. Bye.